So welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, so rookie mistakes. These are things that I wish I had known when starting this cleanse, especially my first time. And even though I'm this like veteran cleanser, every time, there's little mistakes that I do myself, even someone who is a health coach, right? We learn from our mistakes. And this is also why Patty and I have come together to put together the group coaching program that starts January 17th. That's this Thursday. Basically to guide you through this so your process is effortless and with the least amount of suffering as possible, because when we're cleansing and this die off, you don't want to be doing something wrong to make things worse. So welcome. Patty, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'm having this metaphor happening at my house right now where we have a couple of leaks in the roof and we're getting rain for the first time in a while. And it's just interesting, if you don't patch up, these leaks, then they come back to haunt you. And this is a first time in this house for us, so we're just getting to know this house. But in terms of rookie mistakes, I think that was one of my biggest challenges when I first did the cleanse was I didn't understand I still had leaks in my roof, in my gut. And so that was one of my biggest transformations, was really understanding how much my healing was just beginning after I did the CCWS cleanse, so that every time I was making it rain with food, I wasn't leaking again. I had to know to patch up those holes and patch up the leaks in my body, in my gut. So I just I'll start with that. And earlier, Aga and I were talking about what some of those biggest rookie mistakes are. And so I'm excited to share these with you today.
Mm-hmm. So the first one is very simple. It's more protocol based, of getting the 14 grams of fat with each capsule, each of the Candida Cleanser capsules. The active compound lufeneron needs to be absorbed into your body with fat. And getting enough fat is one thing, but the correct fat on your loading days. Don't use coconut oil or MCT oil. Not because it's not healthy. It's an excellent source of medium chain triglycerides and saturated fats that are extremely healing to the body. However, they absorb into your body a little bit differently than other fats. They bypass your digestion and go, the medium chain triglycerides bypass your digestion and go into your bloodstream. So you're just going to end up, passing the lufeneron, the cleanse out your bowels, and you've just had a very expensive poop, essentially.
Exactly.
So the type of fats you want to be looking for are things like avocado, which are great. You can drizzle on some sesame oil, avocado oil, olive oil, ghee, eggs, bone broth, even proteins like wild fish and game and beef, venison. These are all really great healthy fats to include on your cleanse.
I would also, when you can, pay attention to if it's organic, if it's grass-fed. You can actually make your own ghee using grass-fed butter and save a lot of money doing it that way. And it's actually quite easy to make. You can look on our blog on candidacleanser.com. And watch out for, you might look at like a packaged food and see, oh, it has a lot of fat or it has this, but beware of packaged foods or processed foods, hydrogenated oils, canola oil. We want to be getting the most bioavailable and healthy for us fats that you want your body to be absorbing. And I think one of my absolute favorite fats is really the fats that come from making your own bone broths or meat stocks at home, especially if you're using marrow bones. Or even knuckle bones and marrow bones. They have tons of this marrow fat in it that is also really high in that gut healing fat, the butyrates. somebody just asked about peanut butter, and I would actually beware of peanut butter because peanuts are one of the most usual suspects when it comes to mold toxins. It has a high risk of consuming more mold toxins, and we're already trying to fight fungus.
Mhm.
So it just could kind of keep irritating your gut. You could have actually slight intolerance to it, even if it's asymptomatic. If you have candida, you want to reduce all of your risks, right? As much as you can. And
Mhm.
that's going to give your body the most energy to heal.
Yeah. And so, um, that being said, nut and seed butters are excellent sources of fat. This is where there's the conundrum. It's they're healthy fats, but not for everybody. Peanut butter, for example, peanuts, they're actually legumes. They're not nuts. They're masquerading as nuts and because they're so tasty. But almonds and cashews and macadamia, those are great sources. Walnuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. But because they're seeds and nuts, they have a lot they're really hard to digest. They're made to withstand the pressures of nature to be able to seed and grow into a sapling and grow. It really wants to survive. Like every plant, every living organism on this planet has a defense system to stay alive, essentially. And if you have a really sensitive, inflamed gut, those compounds in nuts and seeds can irritate the gut. So if you know you're already really sensitive, you can try something like sprouted nut seed butter, or even soak your nuts for 6 to 8 hours or even overnight. That's an excellent way to make them more bioavailable and easier to digest.
Yeah, and I would say digestion is such a big key word here, which is, nuts just are harder to digest in general, and of course, legumes, and they have anti-nutrients actually too. So they have lectins. So seeds, I like sunflower seed butter, but just beware of added sugars in any nut butter or seed butters. Sometimes they can actually add sugar to it.
And the real kicker, nut butters are just nuts put in the food processor and blended up for 20 minutes. So if you want to go source your own nuts and just stick them in a food processor, if you want to make it a little sweet, add some stevia, and you have your own nut butter. It's very simple. So another one that is very common is cheating. We get the question of like, okay, I have to be super healthy on my 5 days. What if I eat like a little bit of cake or a little bit of bread on my 10 days off? Can I do that? Or 45 days, I was so good for 45 days. My cleanse is done, day 46, bring it. Let's go have a buffet. Let's eat pancakes and waffles and maple syrup. I'm healed. No. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I would say, it could happen, and life happens. You could be at a birthday party, it could be, a holiday, whatever it is. If it happens, the most important thing is to fail fast, forgive yourself, recommit, and move forward and nourish your body after that. And so, it could happen at some points. I would intend to stick with it through your whole cleanse. Intend to stick with it. It's not forever, it's just right now. And you're going to give yourself the best results if you can stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you don't have to cheat with a Snickers bar or a pizza, right? Like a gluten non-organic pizza. You could create something delicious for yourself that feels like a cheat and that doesn't hurt you so bad, right? So, I one of my favorite treats today that I prefer over real sugar kind of stuff, because the real sugar stuff just makes me feel weird now and I feel terrible after I eat it, but is just strawberries, fresh organic strawberries or blueberries with I can tolerate heavy cream now, so I'll use like a grass-fed heavy cream, and I'll just use a vanilla stevia to taste and drizzle it over the berries, and it's like eating ice cream. It's so delicious. You can also do that with coconut cream or coconut milk if you can't do um, heavy cream, but then you want to make sure that you're not doing a lot of coconut milk while you're taking your pills.
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of little ways, and now today with the keto diet and with all of these recipes online, you can make something really delicious and sweet without actually harming your body, right? And that's why you don't want to cheat. Is it's not that we don't want you to enjoy the foods that you love, but we don't want you to harm your body while you're trying to cleanse and heal, because it's only going to create an obstacle. It's like now your body has to take care of that. It's like, oh, okay, now I have to take care of that. And it's like all of the energy that you want it to go to fighting the candida and eliminating the candida, it's actually having to deal with that piece of gluten chocolate cake that just made you all inflamed again, right? So there's a reason for it. It's not just to torture you, it's to get you the best results that you can possibly get and give your body the best environment to heal.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I like to look at it as like teams. Whose side are you on, right? Who are you feeding? Yourself or the candida? It's like, stick to it, stick to the plan. Otherwise, you're feeding the enemy. And this reminds me of, I think it's a First Nations story from like an elder where there's two wolves inside of me. There's the white wolf and the dark wolf. And who survives is whoever you feed. So it's like feed that part of yourself that you want to nourish, that you want to embody. And um, and it can be a bit difficult when the sugar cravings are so intense. But like you said, Patty, there are foods that are delicious that also nourish the body. Mm-hmm.
During my very first cleanse, I basically just made a any blueberry I want rule. Like I could just eat blueberries. Even if I gorged on blueberries, I was allowed blueberries. And
Mm-hmm.
that was so liberating for me because it gave me real sugar, actually, but natural sugars from blueberries. And it's a very low sugar fruit. And actually, I would be satisfied after like a quarter cup, and that wasn't actually that much sugar. So it gave me the feeling of, oh, I just gave myself what I needed, and I wasn't suffering or struggling, and it didn't make me feel sick. I did notice that at that time, sometimes I would have a hard time actually digesting all the blueberry. I could see little like blueberry bits if I binged on blueberries, and that's a sign also to like to know
Mm-hmm.
you're digesting something properly, because it's going to tell you what you need to do with your gut. But that was for me a really great um, option. And then also Lily's chocolates were like such a savior for me then. I was eating like at least a bar every like 2-3 days, and today I almost never crave them anymore. But at that time it was more of like replacing a habit, and it was a habit that wasn't harming me as much, because if I ate real sugar, my body just couldn't handle it at the time. You know, my body just was treating sugar, the chemical of it, as like a cocaine in my body. It was really like making me insane. So I had to really stick with it with sugar back then, really strict, and to help myself heal. Otherwise, I would have been in chronic fight or flight all the time still, and
Mm-hmm.
slow down my healing process. So
Mm-hmm.
find your replacements, find your little
Mm-hmm.
replacements for the things that you love.
Yeah, and if you do slip up, change the mindset around it. You know, I see so many people in the Facebook group that are like, you know, oh, I just ate, I succumbed to this sugar craving, I ate a piece of cake, and now all my die-off symptoms have worse, and I feel so bad, and I'm so bad, and I'm blaming myself, and shame and guilt. Like that is creating even more of an inflammatory biochemical response, your own emotional response, and how you speak to yourself in those scenarios is like remove the negative talk. Just, you know, I treated myself to this, and I'm gonna do better next time. You know, I'm currently learning this new way of eating, and it's challenging, but it's okay. I'm gonna do better, versus beating yourself up about it.
Yeah, and thank your body for the communication, because your body's talking to you. And we're actually, we've all just been taught to ignore our bodies, right? Ignoring our bodies from the beginning when it's little things, and then it becomes much bigger things. And so take that moment and be like, oh wow, okay, my body's talking to me. I'm gonna listen to my body. What is it telling me? I'm still sensitive. I'm still not tolerating this, maybe. And what can I do to give it to feel better, to nourish my body, to heal the gut? Um, Anytime I ever trigger anything, my first thing is bone broth, meat stock or bone broth. So that's always my best course correction step, is to put on that chicken stock ASAP and start putting some broth back into my body, and it all just goes back down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing with that people cheat with is alcohol. That's a big no-no, we think, maybe just a glass of wine. Um, can I just get away with that? What if I take a rum and Coke, but I'll just drink the rum without the Coke? We mentioned this in the previous, we touched up on this in the previous call about the liver and how incredibly toxic alcohol is. And Candida already is releasing so many toxins that are attacking your liver specifically, and it also releases a byproduct of alcohol in your body. So it's as if you're drinking alcohol 24/7 when you have a candida infection. So then to go drink alcohol, and you said this, Patty, is that the liver actually will stop detoxing and will take in the new toxins. So it's really important to remove all toxicity from you so you can get at the deeper layers of candida and get at the toxins that you've been storing, rather than continually dumping things onto your liver and making it harder for yourself. Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Suggestions for bone broth substitute for vegetarians. So unfortunately, they're collagen, L-glutamine, gelatin. These are all from animal sources, and there really isn't a substitute. And most of the vegetarians and even vegans that come into this diet, they will take on a paleo-ish diet for a little bit. They'll perhaps introduce just broth, or meat stock. It's not quite as intense as the broth. Or if you just can't do the actual physical broth, substitutes like L-glutamine, collagen, and gelatin from grass-fed sources. So it's just a powder. It looks like a protein powder, and you could put it in your tea, in your juice, in your cooking, and that's an excellent way to get those really essential amino acids, building blocks that help repair your gut lining. Without them, it slows your healing down a lot. If you can imagine trying to build a beautiful home and building it with cob versus like sturdy bricks or the finest materials in the world. I'm not an architect, so I'm not sure what that is. But if you can remember, the finest material in the world, bricks versus straw and mud, right? We need those proteins.
Yeah, I know there's different reasons why people might be either vegan or vegetarian. I was vegan for 2 years, and it was out of wanting to, there were more moral reasons, right, that I wanted to be vegan. And the more I studied the gut and realized how damaged my own gut was, I realized, wow, I'd make a much better difference on this planet if I stayed here, if I could stay in my body, if I could be well in my body. And looking at the science, looking at everything, it really did point to this need and necessity to start a meat stock and then bone broth therapy. And it really did. I don't know where I would be, and I feel it if I don't take my bone broth, having been somebody who had candida for so many decades, starting from birth into now I'm 40 years old today. When I don't do my bone broth for several weeks, 3 weeks or so, my nails start to tear and chip more easily. When I'm doing things, when I'm grabbing something, my nails will start to chip or tear. I'll notice my skin is drier, or my lips are drier. My hair almost is kind of like dry or more brittle even. And it's a direct reflection of your gut. And I often recommend to people, if you're open to it, look at it as a medicine. And it's not something you have to take forever, but you're taking it for a very, very specific reason, the same reason why all of our ancestors took broth soup. The real stuff, not Campbell's that makes us sick, but the real chicken soups that our grandmothers, our great grandmothers made, and that our ancestors used as medicine. If you were sick, people didn't always have meat, but if you were sick, you would try to find bone broth and give it to that person who's sick, and it would often help them come back to life. And I felt like it helped me come back to life. That it's ultimately a nutrient dense food, and it's kind of a perfect food in its proportions too. That is a perfect. It gives you all the building blocks to build connective tissue in your body. So I would just try to stay open, try everything that you can. Try to get vegetarian source collagen and take a lot of that. But if you're not getting the same results you feel like you're not getting the results that you're seeing other people get who are doing the bone broth, consider it as a medicine.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that happens often is, say, a vegetarian or a vegan, and myself too. I was raw vegan. My whole family was raw vegan for over 7 years, and unfortunately, they got really sick that they had to incorporate meat and broths again. They couldn't do it. Their body needed the nutrients. So honoring that and listening to the body versus our mind's will on the body. I think there's like a disconnect sometimes. We can't will the body to do something, right? And we create that inner battle. But to backtrack, often when, say, a vegetarian or a vegan that's been eating that way for a couple of years wants to introduce broth again, and it just sits heavy in their stomach, and they're like, no, I can't. It's so slimy. I'm not digesting it. It's bad for me. Or meat just feels very heavy and it sits in my belly like a rock. It's not the meat. It's not the fat. It's just that a high carbohydrate diet, as a vegetarian or vegan diet is, it stunts your ability to make ample amounts of stomach acid. And also having candida and parasites blunts the secretion of stomach acid. And you need lots of stomach acid to first foremost to digest proteins. It's the first the first domino to fall in the digestive process, but it's also the acidity that tells your small intestine or the duodenum to release pancreatic enzymes and the bile. So it really starts with the acidity of your stomach. So when you start to incorporate fats and meats again, check to see if you're actually digesting that. It's not just sitting heavy, because then it'll move through the digestive system, causing cramps and pain and gas and fermenting in the wrong areas in your gut and causing more trouble. So that's one other thing is when rookie mistake is not taking care of your stomach acid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would say that also kind of connects with keeping your bowels regular. It's all connected, of course. But if you are somebody who goes once a day and that's it, that's actually slightly sluggish, because we should be going 2-3 times a day naturally without any assistance, and that would be a healthy bowel function. So if you're going once a day or less, then you really, really want to make sure you're taking steps to get yourself more regular as well, because the more backed up you are, or the more sluggish your digestive system, the longer the toxins actually are going to sit inside of your system while you're detoxing, because it's not moving out as quickly. So people who have chronic constipation, when they don't take steps to move their bowels and they start taking something like a, a strong antifungal of any kind, they can have extreme die-off symptoms, and it makes it very challenging for them, and they feel like, oh my gosh, the last time I tried to cleanse, it was just so intense, I had to quit. And if you get your bowels moving, keep things moving in the right direction, stomach acids is actually a big piece of why people can be chronically constipated. So addressing that, and you actually are going to help your body eliminate more easily, more gracefully, so that you don't have to sit in a toxic pool inside that's making you feel worse, and it moves. Sometimes people will say like, oh my god, I felt so bad, and then I went to the bathroom and I felt so much better afterwards. And that is a sign where there was a little bit of a slow, bowel movement there.
Mm-hmm. And if you aren't, say you've tried everything for constipation and nothing's working, enema is actually really great for that. And enema is basically, how do I put this nicely? You put liquid in your bum with a little bag, and it's a super safe procedure that you can do at home in your own bathroom. It's intimidating at first as you get, like explore this new way of being intimate with yourself, but it's really, really helpful. There was a question here. If I keep messing up on the first cleanse, the routine of 45 days, should I roll into a new cleanse or take a break in between? So for me, there really isn't like a way to mess up the cleanse. A lot of the cleanse will still work regardless if you change your diet or not. It's still going to kill candida. We're training you to make it the most effective cleanse possible. And if you slip up, it's still working. You're still killing candida. You're still doing a great job. So it's not like, oh, I slipped up a few days, the whole cleanse is ruined. It doesn't work like that. And if you want to roll right into another cleanse, if you feel like you still have lots of die-off, there's still some symptoms ruminating, you can go right into another cleanse, or you can choose to take 2 or 3 weeks off. You can do a 3-day bone broth fast to really reset the system and focus on supporting the liver and getting the bowels moving and really charging up your immune system again for round 2. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tell a quick story
Mm-hmm.
because it has to do with bone broth and with vegetarians and vegans. I worked with a gentleman who is a permaculture specialist, biodynamic organic farming professional, and he had been vegan for a long time, for on and off, vegan vegetarian for I think almost like 30 years. He had crazy fungus in his toes. His fungal candida was so bad that in the summer he felt like he was suffocating, couldn't breathe. It would get so swollen and congested, and he thought he was dying in those times because he couldn't breathe. And when he was recommended to me by his girlfriend at the time, and he decided he wanted to do the cleanse, and I recommended bone broth, and he had a really hard time with the idea of bone broth for a while. And I said, that's okay, do what you can, make something, get as much minerals, etc., all the vegetarian sources, vegan sources as you can, but stay open to the idea of bone broth. And then what happened was he was actually working on, it was all synchronistic. My landlord hired him to come and do his magic on her property, and my cat had killed like 2 rats, and it was they were big rats. So we have these big, they're beautiful creatures, but they were large rats. And this guy who was working on the property was like, oh, give them to me. He's like, there's a few sick trees on the property who would love them. And I was like, really? Tell me more about that. And he goes, yeah, actually, there's something about burying dead animals under a sick tree, the blood and the bones just have a way of really helping to nourish that tree from the roots through the soil and everything. And I was like, that's why, that's kind of the same theory of you taking bone broth right now to help your sick tree, right? To get the blood and the bone to nourish this sick tree back to life. And he had an aha moment, and it was a defining moment for him where he was like, wow, from a scientific standpoint, with his expertise on the soil and the plants, it all made so much sense. And he did start to do bone broth. He actually used, he got fish. It was a little easier for him to do fish, and he was okay with the taste of fish broth. And in the GAPS intro, she does also recommend sometimes for people who have been vegetarian for a long time or vegan for a long time to start with fish and fish broth, because it's a little bit easier to digest, just like fish proteins are also easier to digest. So I just wanted to share that story where, it was so cool to have him kind of have his own realization through the mirror of how to heal a sick tree. So
it's plants eat humans and animals. That's the funny thing, right? Bones, urine, like all that stuff, fertilizer, poop, they love it. It's nutrients for them. And then, it reminds me of the Lion King, the antelope eat the grass and we eat the antelope and we turn into the grass. It's the circle of life. It's beautiful when it's done in a respectful way where we treat the animals with dignity and respect, not the slaughterhouse terror. So that's another reason why we highly recommend getting grass-fed, which usually means, unfortunately, these days that they're fed grass. I was in Ireland recently, and their grass-fed animals are actually out in the pasture eating grass rather than in the stalls eating grass. So the States still the North America still kind of can contort the labels. But the best idea is actually to get in contact with a farmer and see what they're doing with the animals, and be more aware of where your meat is coming from. Mm-hmm. So another one rookie mistake is, it actually ties into one of the questions here about the zeolite bentonite clay activated charcoal, ZeoCo, is how long does it take for CCWS to fully become absorbed and take action? Well, I believe I have gotten die-off symptoms in clients in as fast as 2 hours. So it absorbs into your body really quickly with the fat. So you need to take it with fat. And when you're taking ZeoCo, do not take it with your cleanse. You want to wait at least 2 hours. We even recommend 3 for people who have a little bit of a slower digestion. So a huge rookie mistake is not taking binders at all and just allowing the toxins to float around in your body. You want to be taking the binders to trap the toxins and help to escort them out of the body. And so wait about at least 2 hours.
and in terms of how it's absorbed and how quickly, I also want to just kind of reiterate, it is so different for everybody. There's so many different factors: how well you're digesting food, how well you're digesting fat, how quickly your immune system can respond. Some people have a slow immune system, or their immune function has been disrupted actually for a long time, so they've become autoimmune. So there's a lot of different factors, and some people have even said that they didn't start to feel die-off until their second bottle. And then they started to eliminate all this gunk out of their bowels. So sometimes it takes time to get to the overgrowth. I worked with a client who literally for more than a month was eliminating ancient fleshy colored candida biofilms and mucus gunk out of his bowels, sorry, for like over a month. And he would message me almost every day, like, I'm still eliminating visible candida. This is insane. And so it took him into his second bottle to actually start to see candida coming out of him. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing we have here, it kind of tied into listening to the body when we were speaking about this earlier. Um, we have this, I've noticed this in myself as well, is like wanting to push through and be this like champion warrior, you know, having a headache and being like, or being tired and being like, I have to work. So I'll just take a coffee and I'll push through it. Or I'm so tired, but I have to go to the gym. I have to work out, you know. During your cleanse, whenever you can, listen to your body and don't push through it. This is nothing for you to fight through. It's a lot easier if you can be gentle with yourself, you know, take naps when you can, even if they're like 5 minute, 10-minute power naps. It's amazing what happens when you just lie down and rest for 5-10 minutes. Take more baths, be more gentle with yourself, and really tune in rather than continuing with that go 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 lifestyle.
Yeah, often fatigue is a really common die-off symptom, and it is totally okay if you have that space in your life to take some naps. My dad, when he did his first CCWS, he slept like 12 hours a day
Mhm.
during his cleanse, and he would sleep all night, but he would also sleep like 3 or 4 hours in the day. He would have this nap, and at the end of the cleanse he was like, yeah, it's almost like if I had termites in the house, we got the termites out. That was like the way he described it. We actually did an interview with him.
Yeah, I remember my last cleanse actually. I had come back from India and reinfected, and it was the worst die off ever. And you get brain fog, like severe brain fog sometimes. At least I did, and I completely forgot that I was on the cleanse. I was like, why am I feeling so tired all the time? I need a coffee, and I'd get a coffee, and then be like, oh my god, I'm cleansing. Like, I should just go to sleep. What am I doing? And then again, the next day, waking up, I'm so tired. I'm like pulling this like slime goop out of my eyes and be like, I gotta have a coffee. And it went on for like a week before I was like, oh my God, I know this. So even the best of us, like the brain fog is a real thing. And you can walk into a store and you know you're on your diet, you're on your cleanse, you're not eating sugar, and then you're like, ooh, gluten-free cookies. There's no gluten here. I can have it. You don't even read the ingredients, and it's like potato starch and tapioca and like all this other really gross toxic stuff. And you eat half of it and then go, oh yeah, I'm cleansing. So even like put a reminder in your calendar that you're like, I'm on the cleanse. And especially on your loading days to be like day 1, day 2, day 3. Because one day you'll wake up and be like, what day is it of my cleanse? Is it a loading period? Is it an off period?
That's a big one, actually. I've totally by accident taken a whole 6th day of pills on a day 6 by accident because I just was like in the habit and like, oh dang, oops. And one more tip of and rookie mistake is to believe everything you're thinking. Don't believe everything you're thinking, okay? Don't believe all your thoughts. Don't believe all the emotions. Like, there's gonna be some storms of stuff that come out because you're detoxing, you're cleansing, and you might have this like raging moment of rah! Like me and my partner cleansed together, and we were like, okay, we're cleansing. Ooh, like it was intense. So there's emotional stuff that can come up too. I had a few times my very first cleanse that I was just like weeping But it was also because I was having all these realizations about my childhood, my health, all growing up, making all kinds of connections. And I was like weeping for the like little girl that like struggled with all of these things, you know? So it was really cathartic as well. So don't hold that stuff back.
A lot of
Give
people think
yourself.
they're dying. They're like, I'm dying. Like, no, it's the Candida dying, making you think like you're dying.
What if I have SIBO? I bought the SIBO pack as well as CCWS. Which first? I would say do the CCWS first, then the SIBO, and then you might want to follow up with another CCWS, and you want to heal your gut big time.
Hmm.
Lots of gut healing, and know that it's a journey and you're going to be on this journey probably for a little while. Take it one step at a time and don't rush it. You know, listen to your body. That's the most important thing. But I think that killing the fungus out of the body is such a game changer that it's going to make you stronger for killing the SIBO. And
Yeah.
then because you need to heal your gut, you might need to just address it again as you're healing your gut, because we can accidentally reinfect ourselves.
Yeah. And then with SIBO and Candida, the dietary protocols are very different. SIBO, you want to look into a low FODMAPs diet for perhaps the first 2 weeks. So you can take the low FODMAP diet on while on the Candida cleanser to prevent yourself from feeding the bacteria living in your small intestines. And here's also the conundrum: is probiotics can sometimes feed bacteria in the small intestine, so you may want to actually wean off of probiotics for the first little while, to see how you're reacting in the guts. And both are very powerful cleanses. Going into the SIBO cleanse, I had no symptoms. I was like, sure, I'll try it. You know, it's one of our new products. I try all of our products so I can recommend from experience. And whew, it was strong. It gave me die off, and I was surprised. So definitely don't do them at the same time. Give yourself the time to go through each one. And yeah, you can make dietary shifts for SIBO while cleansing Candida. All right. So we have 15 minutes left. I would love to answer a live call. If anybody wants to come on, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself. Or
Really quick, there was a question: second bottle straight away after the first bottle without a break is okay? And yes, that is okay, but I would make sure you are cleansing your liver as well, because your liver is coping with all of the toxins from the candida dying off. It's working really, really hard for you, and you want to help your liver as much as possible before killing more candida.
Mhm.
Also, lots of probiotics, work on the gut. If you're taking 2 bottles back to back, I would assume that you have had this for a while and that you are probably like a stage 3, stage 2, 3, 4. So make sure you cleanse your liver, make sure you're healing your gut.
Mhm. Yeah, and Ines, I did receive your questions from Candida Cleanser Support, and I wrote back this morning, so you'll get an email answering all your questions. I recognize your name. All right, so we have Natalie. We'll unmute you. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, how's it going?
So well. How are you?
Good, good. I had no idea you guys were doing this call. I just checked my email and it was happening and I was like, okay, it's synchronistic. Let me get on. So I bought the kit like a while ago, probably like 2 years almost. I don't know if it's even still good. um, and I was like scared to do it for a while and now I'm ready, I think. And I was just wondering what's the best way to get started. I don't even see dates on here, so I can't tell if I even should use these at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe they're still good. We, as the employees here,
Okay.
we would get the expired bottles,
Okay.
and we would take them, and we're like, this still works. And they stamp expiry dates on things that don't actually expire just because it's part of the FDA approval of approving goods on the market.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
nothing.
so I have the CCWS kit, I have the ZeoCo, and I have the M Pro. And I'm just wondering, I'm sorry if I missed this I joined the call a little late. It's a first time kit. I've for sure had Candida since I was a kid, like late onset asthma, allergies, all of those things. And so I have apprehension about the die-off symptoms, and I'm just wondering because I struggle now with like chronic fatigue and things like that. So what's the easiest way to do this gently? Like what's a good way to start gently on the first round? Because I'm sure I'll probably have to do it more.
Well, I don't know if you saw our emails. You're kind of joining us right at this perfect time where we're about to launch our very first VIP group coaching program, which
Okay.
would allow us to work much more closely with each person. So
Mhm.
we're going to throw those links up if you wanted to check that out. And you can watch the video from the very beginning if you wanted to in that link. Aga and I both share our whole full story and mistakes we made and how we got to where we are
Uh-huh.
today. And there's definitely ways that you can minimize your detox symptoms and die off. And we are going to be posting these live Q&As into the YouTube channel. And so you can go to youtube.com/Candida Cleanser and watch the 3 live videos that we did last week,
Okay.
as well as rewatch this one. And we're coming live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, as well as Wednesday again at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We did the, in terms of minimizing detox, there's
Mm-hmm.
what you can do to prepare with diet and anti-inflammatory steps to start to heal your gut. I would say for sure, if this started when you were a baby like me,
Mm-hmm.
you will probably be on a journey of healing even after the cleanse, but
Yeah.
that you can be functioning at 1,000% more than now, and minimizing the reinfection and the oopsies with certain steps and understanding of what foods can kind of be the most usual suspects in terms
Okay.
of could trigger inflammation. All of this information is in our website, in candidacleanser.com, in the blogs, in the ebook, that you have to kind of, I would read and watch as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to digest,
Yeah.
right?
Pardon the pun.
But check out the group coaching program if you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very small group, and so we'll be able to really help every individual develop a really strong strategy that would take out a lot of the mistakes that we had to make on our own journeys, where for me it took me 2 years to heal my gut because I had no idea what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
but I did it. But looking back, it's like, wow, if I had known this, if I had known this. But I kind of had to learn it through the mistakes in my body, or else I wouldn't have really understood what it takes
Okay.
to heal the gut, right? So they say to heal the gut so that you can eat foods that are probably triggering you right now,
Mm-hmm.
and also to stop reinfecting Candida again, you typically need about 1 month of strict gut healing protocol for
Mm-hmm.
every year of symptoms that you've exhibited.
Okay.
And but there's
That's
there's
like
but
40 months.
I just want you to know that I have so been there. Like in
Yeah.
2013, I thought I was dying. I was allergic to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't eat anything without being just fully inflamed, waking up with feeling like I was being eaten inside out by something. And it was just the worst pain of my life and
Mm-hmm.
scary. And I'm I went to a movie the other day and we got a big, large popcorn and we got a refill and I'm okay. Look, I have no breakouts.
Yeah.
I have no allergies. Like I can do that like a normal omnivore usually can do every once in a while, right? Like if your gut is healthy, you can do something like that every once in a while. I couldn't do that every day, but there was a time where that would have just set me back for weeks upon weeks. So just know healing is absolutely possible. Take it one step at a time. You know, you're gonna have a tool belt full of tools that you can apply as you can. And I would just dig into the resources, join the Facebook group, use the group, or if it's something that, if it's divine timing for you, check out that group coaching program because it's just an amazing way to ensure success because we have now between me and Aga combined 10 years of coaching other people, and a lot of our clients, their stories are on our website because we got to coach them exactly through what they needed to do, what their gut healing protocol was, etc., based on where they are, right? So there wasn't as much guesswork for them on their own.
Thank you. Yeah. I also recently learned that I do have the MTHFR gene mutation, and I'm curious if you guys have worked with that much.
Yeah, actually, we have had clients, or at least I have worked with people who have that gene. There would be certain protocols and supplements that I would recommend that can actually help with calming that gene expression, like the nano hemp oil that we recommend, as well as heavy metal detoxing, specific heavy metal detox protocol.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you be working on that in the group coaching program as well?
We absolutely can. It's 8 weeks long. So it just depends on, like I said, it's going to be a really small group. So each person will work with you. And just depending on how deep you want to go in those 8 weeks, you can go deeper, or, you know, you finish one of the cleanses and get you set up so that after those 8 weeks, you have a plan moving forward as well.
Okay. Great.
Of what next.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for joining. Thanks for asking those really great questions. You know, like how do I start as effortlessly or as easily as possible? And it's a lot of the things that we're talking about today. You know, start with diet. Diet is the most potent thing. Food is medicine. Like Hippocrates, the father of modern day medicine, said. And really sticking to the broth. And I wanted to also Natalie, you mentioned you have, like, I could hear the package there in front of you with the bottles. So you have the Candida Cleanser, you had the Zeo Coach as the binder. So again, you want to be utilizing that. It really helps to mitigate die-off. And you take it not with the with the capsule at the same time, but you want to take about 2-3 hours apart. And the EM Pro, they're probiotics, essentially. They're really powerful probiotics. And if you haven't opened them, they should still be fine. But once you open it, keep them in the fridge. Let's see. What else do we have?
That might be the only supplement that could be a little bit aged at this point. It would be because it's a living probiotic. I don't know. EM Pro is known to live quite a long time, though.
What you can do is actually take molasses and put about like a tablespoon of molasses in there, and it wakes up the sleeping probiotics. That brew is actually really unique. I make big vats of it, like 5 liters at a time. And the EM Pro is a mother, and then to activate her, you just add molasses. All right, I think we have time for one more question. We have 4 minutes left. Let's see.
Oh, and one more thing is, if anyone here is considering this group coaching program right now, Aga and I are both still accepting some one-on-one meetings, consultations, and I'll go ahead and drop the link into the chat. So,
oh yeah, I have to get
schedule with me if you'd like to explore. And then again, I would recommend watching the replays of all of our live videos as well.
Mhm. Need to get my link up here. Yeah, and there's me. So if you want to schedule in, I have some time tomorrow afternoon, and on Wednesday it's limited, so find a slot that works for you. Any last questions? You can feel free to type them in or simply raise your hand or unmute yourself and we'll get to you.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yay, thanks, Susan.
I'm so happy you decided to join. It's going to be so much fun. Deadline for signing up, I would say Thursday, 1 o'clock. That's our first coaching call where we have orientation, we have everybody set up. So this Thursday, 1 p.m., and that's Pacific Standard Time.
And for example, Natalie, because you already have your cleanse, there actually is an option. If you have your cleanse already for the group coaching program, it's a discounted rate because you already have your cleanse. And to anybody who doesn't have your cleanse, you can actually get the program and have the cleanse sent to you directly from here. So it's not coming from Thailand. And we'll rush it to you so you have it right away. So FYI.
And so Thursday is our first day, but we don't start the cleanse on Thursday. We do the pre-cleanse prep, which is basically setting the foundation of bone broth and what to eat, what not to eat, really getting confident with that area. And then the following week, we start the cleanse together. Yeah.
So Sylvia, we do have our first live coaching on the 17th, but everything gets posted into the membership area. So if at any point anybody has to miss one of the actual live calls, you can watch everything afterwards, and you just want to make sure you get your purchase confirmation and sign up and get into your back dashboard in the membership area. So you'll set up a little password to be able to log into the membership area.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
there's so much content. We're gonna have so much content in there that every have a live call, and then during the week we have assignments, and so this is basically like your big resource hub that we put together.
And Brian, there's a few payment options, so I'm just going to send you the link so you can click right over and check out the different options. If you pay in full, you actually save $200 versus the payment plan option. And the prices for the full 8 weeks. And again, if you have a cleanse already, if you already have the products on you, then you can choose the discounted price. And either of the full payment prices, either the payment plan or the pay at once and save, we will ship out that cleanse ASAP to those who still need their cleanse. Some people actually have other products, or they have products and they might want a different free gift, or you already have the cleanse but you want a parasite cleanse or a SIBO cleanse for after this program to continue your healing process. So just let us know. We're happy to work with everyone to make sure that if you don't need a duplicate CCWS kit, that we can get you something else for that price, because it does kind of give you a discounted price on the products.
All right, thank you all so much for joining. It was such a fun talk today. And yeah, we will be on tomorrow as well at 6 p.m. There is a different link, so if you're in the Facebook support group, keep your eye out. I'll be posting that tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Awesome. See you guys at 6 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow.
Ciao.
Ciao.